right, hello everyone. Happy Monday. Hope you are all doing well today. I know we're a little bit early in our schedule today, but we wanted to jump on here a little early, get you guys a quick demo done, and show you guys some some tips and tricks here on our full cover tips. You can see I've got a few of them set out here ready to go. I'll give you guys just a second to jump in. I've got the nails already prepped and ready to go. I've pushed back the cuticles. I've dusted them off. I've cleansed with our swipe. I'm going to get a couple of coats of our protein bond on here. And then we'll go ahead and size out our tips. So just brushing on nice even coats of protein bond all the way through the nail from the cuticle to the free edge. I do start about halfway up the nail. Actually, guys, I think I'm going to grab my other bottle of protein bond. Got a brand new bottle today. Let's see. Money Case says, just popped on to say hi. Well, hello to you. Welcome in. You guys, welcome. Welcome. I love to see all of those familiar names in the chat, and hopefully you guys are having a wonderful day. And Monica says, wow, whatnot is dangerous. Yeah, you guys, if you've been on our Whatnot stream, we've got all kinds of great deals and things on there, so make sure to check that out. Don't miss out on those live streams. But I'm just going to get my second coat on here real quick, and then we'll get into our application. So just brushing on a second coat. Now, when I'm doing any kind of an enhancement, whether it's acrylics, hard gels, or the full cover tips, I usually like to use 2 coats of our protein bond, just to give us that really good added insurance that our product is going to adhere. And today we're going to be applying some full cover tips, and I'm going to show you guys both of our different tip and jewel adhesive gels. So we have our original tip and jewel adhesive gel in the little jar. This one is a little bit of a thicker consistency, and then we have our thin adhesive gel in the tube. So I'm going to show you guys some ways of using both of those products today. But the first thing that we want to do is we want to size out our tips. Now, today I'm going to actually be working with our full cover, and I've got our Stiletto long. Now, I want to show you a little kind of a difference between the short and the long. You guys, I know short and long, it's the length, but when you're sizing out, if you decided that maybe you wanted a short nail, a short little stiletto, make a cute little stiletto here on our nails, depending on the length of your nail bed, okay, this is what's going to depend whether you choose the short, medium, or long style. Now, when you're sizing your tips, you want to make sure that, first of all, they're going to be fitting from side. Actually, we're going to start, let me reverse that. We're going to make sure that that tip is going to fit our C curve. So when I say C curve, I'm going to take a look down the barrel of the nail from this direction, and I'm going to compare that to the well of the tip that we're going to apply. Now, this one does look like that C curve, the curve of our tip, is going to fit the curve of our nail this direction. So we can set that on there. But we also want to see that it's going to fit from sidewall to sidewall. Now, this one's a little bit large, and that's okay for now. I'm going to show you guys some other tips and tricks here. But the other thing I want you guys to see, I'm going to come in really close so you can see this. When you're sizing out the tip, you want to make sure that that tip is going to fit back to that cuticle area, and it's not going to leave any kind of a gap right at this corner down here. So if you can see, when I set this one on there, the short style, the part that's going to cover my nail plate, that nail body itself, it's not actually going to fit all the way through and cover all the way down to this little corner. So I should probably actually go with either the medium or the longer stiletto shapes. So again, you guys, you can see we've got our short stiletto, and then we've got, this is actually our long stiletto. I feel like the longer stiletto is going to fit better on that sidewall, and it's going to cover all the way down along that edge down there, okay? So just because you want a short stiletto doesn't necessarily mean that you should choose the short length. You want to make sure that you're choosing a tip that is going to fit on your actual nail plate itself. So maybe if you're somebody who has those teeny tiny little short nail beds, then you could definitely go with that shorter style, and that would fit. But because our trainer hand here today, and myself included, I actually have some pretty long nail beds myself. So I tend to go with that longer length of tip. And then if you want it shorter, you can always cut that a little bit shorter and reshape that length a little bit, just to make things a little bit easier. Now, I do have some tips that I have actually sized out already. So I'm going to show you how I sized these out. So like we were talking about before, you want to make sure that it's going to fit the C curve. So when I set that tip on, I don't want to have to really press that down really tight. I turn my tip around. If you guys have to really press that tip on and really squish that down to get that really flat down onto the nail, what happens when you let go is that's actually going to come back to its original shape. So when we put that tip on, if again we have to really squeeze that down onto the nail, it's going to have a tendency to want to pop back up. So we want to make sure that, again, we're fitting that C curve. So our C curve fits on there nicely. Again, nice and flush to that curve. But then we want to make sure that it's going to fit from sidewall to sidewall and up into that cuticle area. Now on this one, you can see it's hanging off just ever so slightly right down here, and that's okay because we're going to be using a little bit of a thicker gel to adhere these. I want them to hang off ever so slightly. Now, I don't want them hanging this far off the nail, but I do want them hanging ever so slightly off so that when we adhere them, that gel is going to fill in the space between that tip and that natural nail, and it's not going to end up too short on the sides. Okay, now the other thing we want to check is, does this fit up into that cuticle area? So on this one, it is a little bit, it's kind of hanging off a little bit right up in those corners. So I can go ahead and I can customize this. So I'm going to grab my 180 file buffer combo. I'm going to set that hand off to the side, and I'm going to just round out those corners a little bit. So this way, when I put that onto the nail, it's going to be a little bit more flush onto that natural nail, and it's going to fit right up into that cuticle area a little bit better. So you can go through and you can customize your tips. Again, I'm using the 180 file, and then I like to switch over to that buffer side to get any of those little frayed edges off of there. And if you need to file at all on those sidewalls, you can definitely file on those sidewalls so that they're not hanging off the edges too much. Okay, again, hit it with that buffer to get rid of those little frayed edges. Now you guys, I want to show you one other quick little thing here, and it's a lot easier to see on the more squared off or the coffin shaped nails. When you're working with the full cover tips, if you take a look from that cuticle area, so I've got my tip here, so this is the area that's going to fit at the cuticle area. They are a little bit more squared off, so depending on the shape of your nail, again, you may have to do some customizing. But if you look at that cuticle area is very thin, and it is a little bit more flexible through there. If we turn that around though, and we look down the barrel of the nail, you can see that the free edge is a little bit thicker. So it's actually a little bit thicker through the stress area, down through that free edge, to give a little bit more structure and durability, more like an actual enhancement. So these are going to have a really good structure and support once we adhere them with our Tip and Jewel Adhesive Gel. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Now, because we are going to be using our gel, so again, you guys, our Tip and Jewel Adhesive Gel. If you're working with our adhesive gel to adhere these, you want to make sure that you remove the shine from the well of the tip. Gel does not like to stick to the smooth and shiny surface. So I'm going to take my electric file, and I've got my medium grit sanding band. This is the same grit that I used to prep those natural nails. And I'm just going to go through and gently remove the shine all the way through the well, all of that area that is going to adhere to that nail. Now you guys, I do have my other tips all sized out here ready to go so that you didn't have to kind of wait around for me to size out tips. But I am going to go through and remove the shine from all of those nails, all the way through each of those wells, just to create a little texture, because again, any kind of gel is not going to adhere well to a shiny surface. And if you've ever had your full cover tips pop off, there's a good chance that you didn't properly prep the well of your tip. So again, just quickly going through there, lightly removing the shine, and we are good to go. Now I do want to make sure that I dust these off really well, get all of that dust cleaned out of there, make sure that they are nice and clean. Let me come back a little bit, there we go. Make sure those are nice and clean and ready to go onto our nail. Now, one other thing that I like to do, just for a little bit of added insurance, to make sure that my adhesive is going to adhere really well, is I'm going to use another coat of Protein Bond. Now, we did put Protein Bond onto our natural nails. Got a little bit of dust on that one, and a little bit of fuzz on that one. So we did prep our natural nails, and we did apply 2 coats of Protein Bond to that natural nail. But when we're working with the full cover tips, I'm going to actually add another coat into that well. So now we've created a textured surface and a tacky surface with our Protein Bond, and this is what is going to adhere these to the nail really, really well. Now we're going to use our Tip and Jewel Adhesive Gel for the actual application. This is just giving it another tacky surface, another sticky layer. Somebody's asking, what speed is your e-file at? For prepping the well of the tip, I usually use our e-file anywhere between, I would say, 2,000 to 5,000 RPMs. So same as what you would use for prep. And again, it kind of depends on the e-file you have. Usually we say around 3,000 to 5,000 RPMs, but the e-file that I'm using, this is our portable e-file from our Black Friday sale. This one I am working at about 2,000 RPMs. It's got really great torque on those low speeds. So I'm going to show you guys, again, 2 different types of adhesive gel. We've got our thin adhesive gel in the squeeze tube, and we also have our thicker adhesive gel in the jar. You guys, let me know which one you want to see first. That way I can do whichever one you want to see first. So let me know, do you want to see the original or the thin? Put that in the chat and let me know what you think. So why we have 2 different ones, though, is it's a little bit of a consistency thing depending on what you like to work with, and depending if you like to work with the tube versus working with our spatula. Oops, that's the brush end of my brush here, so I got my brush and spatula. So it's just a different way of application. But if you're working on somebody who maybe has very flat nail beds, so if they don't have much of a C-curve, using the thicker adhesive gel, this one is actually going to fill in a little bit more of if there's just barely a gap between that tip and that nail. So that tip that we're applying and that natural nail. So just depending on the shape of the nail, if you need to fill in, maybe if that client's natural nail has maybe some ridges in there, you can use the thicker adhesive and that's going to fill in a little bit easier too. Okay. All right. So I'm seeing a lot of people saying that they want to see the original, so in the tub. So I'll go ahead and I'll start with that. You guys, thank you for your feedback. I always appreciate that. So we'll start with this one today. And somebody says, is that tub the same stuff that you can mold stuff with? That is a great question. You guys, this is designed for adhering the tips to the nail, and it's also for adhering jewels to the nail. It's not great for those 3D kind of designs. You guys, it does stick, and whatever product you're working with, make sure that you're not getting that on your bare skin. So if you're doing those kind of things, make sure that you're wearing gloves, but this will stick to a glove and those kind of surfaces. So that's not what it's designed for. What it is designed for is adhering our full cover tips. So I'm just going to check this nail really quick, making sure that's the one that I wanted, and I have sized out for that nail. So when we're working with the thicker adhesive gel, like I said, I'm going to be using my brush and spatula combo. So I'm going to take that spatula, I'm going to scoop out just a little bit of that adhesive. You can see it's got a little bit of a kind of a stringy tail there. I'll tap that edge off. Now I'm going to just take that little bit of adhesive, and let me come in nice and close so you can see. I am going to set that into the well of the tip. I'm going to press that down and just kind of pull that all the way through. And again, you guys, I'm using the spatula end, not the brush end. It's a personal preference. You can use that brush, but for me, I actually get a better, smoother application using the spatula. So personal preference. Now I'm just going to drag that all the way through, and I am using a good amount of pressure as I'm pulling my spatula through. That way, in case there's any little air bubbles in that gel, it's going to press those air bubbles out and get rid of those so that we don't see those on the natural nail. Now I'm going to take that little bit that's left on the end of my spatula, I'm going to scrape that right back into the well so that I've got a good amount right in the well that's going to adhere to my natural nail. Now, One other thing that I want to make sure that I have here, I want you guys to see this, so I'm going to come out a little bit here. I've got my Touch Cure light. So you guys, this is it's a little flashlight, kind of a light. Actually, let me come out a little bit more. So this is our Touch Cure light, and this is what I'm going to use to set my tips into place. So I've actually got this set up right above where I'm working here. Now, when you're working on a real person, you want to make sure that you're staying about 6 inches away or so. But on the trainer hand, so you guys can see, I am going to work a little bit closer. But do make sure that you are staying, like I said, about 6 to 8 inches away. So this way you're not going to be curing that product too quickly. If you cure it too quickly, you're going to start to feel some heat, okay? So make sure that you are staying just a little bit farther away. Now I want you guys to see this from the side view. So I'm going to come in here really close. When I put my tip on, I don't just sit that flat right down onto the nail. What I do instead is I'll start at a slight angle with that tip down to that cuticle area, and I'm not going to put it right back at the cuticle. So I'm not going to set it right down here first. I'm going to start about here, set it down, and then I'm going to slide it back. So this way, in case any of that adhesive does squeeze out the end, it's not going to come in contact with the skin, okay? So I got my light ready to go. I'm going to set this onto the nail. I'm going to touch that down, and you can see that adhesive start to, excuse me, start to grab onto that natural nail. Now you guys notice when I let go of that thicker adhesive, again, this is the one in the jar, that thicker adhesive really will stay where you put it. So you've got a lot of time to work with this and to really make sure that that tip is secure in place. So I'm going to make sure that's where I want it. I'm going to just put a little bit more pressure, and I'm going to slide it back just a little bit closer to that cuticle, keeping pressure back at that cuticle area, making sure none of that adhesive is squeezing out the back end. If you do get any a little bit that does squeeze out, this is where I do like to use that brush from the brush and spatula. So this way I can use that brush. I do need to clean this off real quick. And I can use that to clean up that cuticle area in case any of that gel did squeeze out. Now at this point, I'm going to just start to gently rock that tip down just until it starts to connect to that natural nail. I still keep some pressure back at that cuticle area. I just want to rock that down until it connects all of that gel to that natural nail, and it doesn't squeeze out the end. Now, if a little bit squeezes out the end, that's not a big deal. We just don't want a big blob squeezing out the end. So until that product comes all the way to the end, then I'm just going to hold that there with my other thumb, and I'm going to turn on my Touch Cure light, and we're going to set this tip into place. Again, my Touch Cure light is about 6 to 8 inches away from the nail, so this way I'm not going to create any heat when I'm curing this onto the nail. But just make sure that you do get that light all the way through, kind of rock that nail around a little bit, roll it, rotate it a little bit, so this way you can really make sure that that tip is set. Now, at this point, I'm not fully curing this nail. I'm just setting that into place. I'm going to just basically freeze this into place with my Touch Cure light, and then I'll go in with my full UV LED light, and I will cure the whole thing all the way through for 60 seconds. So just with the Touch Cure light here, just enough to freeze it, maybe 20 seconds or so, 10 to 20 seconds, again, just enough to set that into place. Okay, let me go ahead and do a second application with the thick adhesive, just so you guys can see that a second time. So same thing. I'll scoop out a good amount of that adhesive, tap off those little stringy edges, and then I'm going to set that down into the well. Again, I'm going to press that down through the well back to the cuticle area, blending that out. Now, notice that I don't bring that product all the way to the sides. I leave just a little bit of a gap right around these edges over here, so that way when I do press that tip on, that gel is going to squeeze out to the sides, and now because I've got that little bit of a space in there, it's not going to ooze out the side and come in contact with the skin. Okay, I've got a little bit left of that gel on my spatula. I'm going to just scrape that right off the edge, make sure I don't have any of that squeezing out the end. Same thing, I've got my Touch Cure light ready to go. I'm going to start with that tip at a slight downward angle, connect it to that natural nail, apply some pressure, slide that back towards the cuticle area, making sure that I'm not squeezing any of that gel out the back end. if I do, use my brush, clean that off, and then we'll just continue to rock this down the nail, making sure that that gets all the way to the end. That adhesive squeezes out any little air pockets underneath there. I'm going to just secure this, kind of hold that into place, turn on my touch cure light, and there was a little bit that squeezed out there. And again, just setting that tip into place. Again, keeping my light maybe about 6 to 8 inches away or so that way I don't get any extra heat when I'm curing this. Okay, kind of rock that tip around a little bit, really making sure that you're hitting that light all the way around the edges to set that gel into place. Okay, again, I'm not fully curing this, I'm just setting these tips into place, so this way when I do fully cure them, they're not going to move when I try to get the hand into the full UV LED light. So again, just setting them into place. Okay, so that was our thicker adhesive. So that was in the little container. Now I'm going to show you guys our thinner adhesive gel. So depending on how you like to work, if it's easier for you to use the tube, you can definitely use the tube. We're going to be doing a similar application technique, but instead of scooping out with the spatula, we're just going to apply a little bit of this to the well area. So again, I'm going to just squeeze a little bit of this out. And for this application, I just like to squeeze it right through that cuticle area, and it's actually going to move its way down the length of that tip. But if you need to, you can also use that nozzle to kind of move that product down the well of that tip. Just a personal preference. But same thing, I've got my touch cure light ready to go here. Oops, turn that off. And again, we're going to do the same kind of application technique. So I'm going to set that down at a slight angle. So if you see from the side at a slight angle, I'm going to touch that down. Now, the thinner adhesive, you guys, this one doesn't stay as well as the thicker ones as you're kind of setting it. It will move if you let go of it. So make sure that with this one, you do have pretty good control of it and you're not letting go. I tend to like to hold my fingers underneath here to really stabilize that finger. So this way I can use this hand here, my right hand, just to kind of rock that tip down, set that into place, and then if I need to, I can use my left hand to turn the light on. So I'm going to come back out just a little bit. So you guys, you can see I'm doing this with just my right hand. And then again, I've got my left hand here that I can use to turn that light on and off. Okay. Again, I'm going to hold this here for about maybe 20 seconds or so. Somebody's asking, which do you prefer? You guys, it really depends on the nails that I'm working on. Sometimes I like to use the thicker adhesive. Sometimes I like to use the tube. If I have a client with maybe flatter nails that the tip may not quite fit and I have to maybe fill in some gaps, that's when I like to use that thicker adhesive in the in the jar. If I'm working on somebody, say like myself, I've actually got really nice C-curves and these tips do tend to fit my C-curve really, really well. So in that case, that's when I usually like to use the thinner adhesive. But you guys, they're both great options. They're both going to adhere to the tips really well. Now you guys, I know you guys are probably seeing this on the trainer hand. Those tips don't always adhere to that plastic that the trainer hands are made of very well. So just note that it's not going to pop away from a natural nail like this. This just happens sometimes on the trainer hands. And you'll see that the thinner adhesive actually doesn't do that. So it's not going to happen on your natural nails like that unless you lift up. You guys, let me show you what can happen if you lift up. So let me grab a little bit more of this thin adhesive. Again, we're going to squeeze that through the well of our tip. And then I'm going to come in here. I'm going to set that tip onto the nail, rock that down. So what would happen if maybe I let go of this tip and maybe I tried to put that nail into the light? Maybe the client bumps her nail and it's going to actually pucker that. It's going to pop that tip off. So that's why we use the touch cure light to set this into place so that your client isn't going to accidentally bump her nail as she's going into the light. And if you are the client, in case you don't bump your nail going into the light. So again, setting that into place, I'm going to hold that finger underneath. I'm going to press that tip down, rock that down until that gel starts to meet up with that nail. Once it meets all the way up to the end of that natural nail, that's where I'm going to use my left hand here. I'm going to turn on that touch cure light. I'm going to freeze this into place, and we're going to set that fully into the full UV LED light. Somebody's asking how to subscribe. You guys, you just hit the little subscribe button. There's a little subscribe button right on the, should be on your screen there. But yeah, you guys, if you are interested in education with us here at Young Nails, if you want more free education like we're doing here online, make sure to hit that subscribe button, join our community, and you can continue to get all of this free education. Okay, so again, we're just using that touch cure light to to set this into place. We're not fully curing this out, just maybe for 20 seconds or so. And then once we have that set into place, let me come back out here so you guys can see now we have all of our nails on there, but at this point they haven't fully cured all the way through. If we were to just leave these nails as they are, they could have a tendency to pop off. So at this point, I would go back into the full UV LED light. I can't quite get this one into screen here, but I'm going to put this hand all the way into that full UV LED light, and that is going to cure for 60 seconds. So you guys, that's how we're going to apply the tips. And you guys, just so you guys can kind of see some different styles, we do have our full cover coffin tips. And just while that's curing, I'll show you guys that technique one last time. I'm not actually going to cure this into place, but if you are interested in that thicker adhesive gel, you're going to use the spatula to scoop that out. So you're going to take a scoop of that gel, and then you're going to set that right into the well. So again, you're going to press that down into the well. Wipe that all the way back to the cuticle area, pressing a nice thin even layer, and it does leave a little bit of that bulk right back through here, and that is perfectly fine. Okay, we just want to make sure that we're not bringing that all the way to the edge here. We want to leave just a little bit of space along that edge and a little bit of space along that other edge. So let me bring a little bit more product over to the other side, and then I've got a little bit of product left in on my spatula here. I'm going to just scrape that right off the edge, clean up the edge. Now you guys, I'm not going to actually adhere this onto my nail, but just so you guys can see again from the side angle, I'm going to set that onto the nail. Notice how that gel connects. Then I'm going to just slide that back so it gets that tip a little bit closer to my cuticle area. And then I'm going to start to rock that gel down until it completely connects all the way through to that natural nail, all the way down to my free edge. Okay, again, I wouldn't put this over the gel polish that I've got on there. I just wanted to show you guys that other technique. And again, when you're working with that thicker adhesive gel, you can see that it's going to stay really where you put it. So I've got time to maybe adjust if I need to, maybe if I need to clean a little bit of that adhesive off the edge. I do have a little bit more time to work with this. Now you can kind of see it is starting to pop up a little bit as I'm moving. So make sure if you do get those little air pockets underneath there, make sure to give it a little bit more pressure, press that out. If you feel like you can't put pressure on there to get those air pockets out, lift up before you cure it. Now you guys, I'm going to show you this from the side view. Lift up at the tip, but still put pressure at that back cuticle area. Lift up and scrape off that extra adhesive. Okay, if you need to apply a little bit more adhesive, go ahead and grab a little bit more, and you can apply that back into the well, or even just scrape that right off at the edge. Then you can go back in and set that down one more time, and you can even maybe kind of give it a little bit of a wiggle, and that's going to help to press out some of those little air pockets as well. And then again, rocking that down to connect to that natural nail. Now again, you guys, I know if you're just joining us, I'm not actually adhering this to my natural nail with the gel polish underneath there. I just wanted to give you another quick demo of how you would apply that full, that Tip and Jewel adhesive gel, that thicker gel. Now, if you want to see the thinner gel, I'm going to show you guys that one more time as well. So let me grab another tip here. And I'll go ahead and grab the thinner gel. So the thinner gel, you guys, it's a similar product, but the thinner gel comes in a smaller tube. And with this one, all we're gonna do is just squeeze out, you guys, I'm getting a little low in my tube here. I gotta squeeze out some of that excess there. So we're gonna just put a little line right around that back edge of the cuticle area. And you guys, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community. So same thing, I'm going to show you guys from the side view. If you start with that tip at a slight angle, don't just set it flat down there. If you set it just flat onto that nail, a lot of times what happens is you're going to end up with air pockets. So that's why we start at a slight downward angle, connect that to the nail. So again, you guys, you can see that I'm connecting that to the nail. And then I'm going to just start to slide that back a little bit closer to the cuticle. And then we're going to rock that all the way down until that adhesive presses out the end. So they're just right down to the end. Okay. So again, this is a little bit thinner than that first product I was showing you. So with this one, if I do let go, it is going to pop back up like that. It is going to move. It is going to slide a little bit. So again, with this one, we want to make sure, I'm going to do that same thing, put pressure on, slide the tip off, and then we can go back, reconnect, and then rock that back down. Now, if I was going to cure this, I would need to get this under my touch cure light right away, and that way it's not going to move and it's not going to wiggle and it's not going to create any air pockets in there. Okay, so again, just rocking that down. And you guys, you can kind of see there is a little bit of that adhesive that does squeeze out the side. You do want to make sure that you catch that before you cure it. Sometimes what I will do is, let me take this off again. I'll take that brush, take the tip off, clean off that gel with my brush, because you want to make sure that you're not leaving that product on the skin. Sometimes, unfortunately, accidents happen, and sometimes you tend to get that product on the skin, but just make sure that you do clean that off before you go into the light. So let's rock that on one more time. Set that down, connect that at the cuticle area. We're going to rock that down gently, and then we would, once that is set down, we would get that under our touch cure light right away. Okay, now I'm not going to cure this onto my own nail here. I'm actually going to wipe off that adhesive really quick. And then I'm going to show you guys here just really quickly the touch cure light that I was using. So this is the light that I use to freeze my tip into place. So once I do have, again, you guys, I'm not actually going to cure this on there with gel, but once I do have that tip on there, I would turn on my touch cure light, get that nail under the light. Now make sure that you are leaving about 6 to 8 inches of space. So again, I'm not keeping that right here on my nail. I would keep it about 6 to 8 inches away. So this way you're not going to create any heat on that nail when you do cure the adhesive, okay? And also make sure that if you're using that touch cure light that you don't have your adhesive gel near it, because this will cure in the jar. So if you do have that light and it's shining on your adhesive gel, it is going to cure in the jar. So make sure to keep that out of the way, okay? Now, you guys, our tips are fully cured out. Now, depending on what you're going to do to finish these nails, you can apply gel polish over the top, you can apply traditional polish over the top, you can apply hard gel over the top, whatever you decide you want to do. But if you're going to be applying anything other than traditional polish, you do want to go through and kind of remove the shine, create a little bit of texture on the surface. So go through and you can shape up your sides if you need to. If you wanted to do a more short look, because when we started here, I was showing you guys those short length nails. If you wanted a shorter length, just take your tip cutter and you can go in and you can clip off that free edge. You can shape that up into whatever shape you want. If you want more of a coffin shape, you can do more of a coffin shape. So go ahead and shape up, creating whatever look you want. And then you are going to go through with either your electric file or hand file. And you're going to, let me come in a little bit closer here. You do want to go through and you want to thin out and kind of thin and taper out that back cuticle area. And then just feather through the rest of the length of that nail, creating some texture. And now that is flushed down to the natural nail, we've prepped that surface. You can dust off that surface, cleanse with a little bit of our swipe, so that same product that we were using to cleanse the nails to begin with, cleanse with the swipe. And you're going to go back to your protein bond. So one more coat of protein bond before you apply your gel polish, and that is going to give you really good adhesion for your product. So again, just one more quick coat of protein bond. Do you guys want to see one finished nail here? Do you want to see a color? Want me to finish the nail with a color? And if so, put a color in the chat. What color do you want to see me finish it? Yes, finish it. You guys want to see the whole set finished? Maybe while we're waiting to hear you guys hear your choices here, I'll go ahead and just clip these shorter. And actually, you know what? We'll leave 2 of them long here, okay? If you want, you can just leave them this length, but I still like to go through, clean up my edges a little bit, and just take off that little bit of a kind of a rough edge. Sometimes on the point of the nails you do get a little bit, ooh, I'm seeing teal and purple. You guys, you all know that teal is one of my favorite colors here, but purple is a really pretty color too. Ooh, cherry, you know what? Let's do a red, you guys. Let's do a really pretty red because Valentine's Day is coming up. So I will show you guys a really gorgeous red. Do you want to see the red that I have on, or do you want to see, you guys said more of a cherry red. Okay, so let's do a cherry red. This nail, I'm going to just leave this as a little bit more of a tapered square, maybe a little short coffin here. So just to show you guys that you can do different shapes and different lengths with the style of tip that we have. So just because we're using the stiletto tip doesn't mean that you have to do a stiletto shape. You can customize it. You can create whatever looks you want. Again, I'm just going through and tapering in that cuticle area a little bit, thinning that out, getting that nice and flush down, removing the shine, because again, when we put a gel polish on, gel polish does not like to stick to a smooth and shiny surface. So we want to make sure that we're creating some texture so that our gel polish isn't going to chip off. Okay, and make sure that you are catching all the way around those edges. Gel polish does tend to chip more around the edge because people tend to forget, or they don't quite get all the way to the edge when they're prepping. So it may still have a little bit of shine. So again, making sure that you get all the way down to those edges, really making sure that you've completely removed the shine. Okay, so again, we're going to dust these nails off. And you guys, this is as quick as it goes. I mean, it shouldn't take you very long at all to do a set like this. So just very quickly, and that's kind of the nice thing about using the full cover tips, is that you've got that shape in there for the most part, and you don't have to do a ton of filing and perfecting of your shape. And because these tips are structured so that, I think I did show you guys this earlier in the demo, but if you look from the free edge, you can see there is some thickness through that end. So there's thickness through the stress area all the way through that free edge to really give you that good durability that a regular set of enhancements is going to give you as well. So I'm just going to get that little frayed edge off of there. Again, we're going to dust that off. We're going to cleanse these using our swipe, getting all of that dust off of there. And I know I did put 1 coat of protein bond on this one, but we did file a little bit, so we got a little bit of dust on there. All right, you guys, let's do, somebody said a cherry red. Let's go ahead and grab Combat Anime. This is actually a gorgeous, gorgeous red. It is perfect for Valentine's Day. Thank you guys for all the hearts in the chat there. Thank you for all the subscribes. We see you. We appreciate you. So I'm going to do this beautiful Combat Anime red on the nails here for all of those of you that are putting hearts in the chat. So appreciate that. But again, 1 more coat of our protein bond. This is going to give our nail really good adhesion, making sure that our gel polish is going to stay on there. It's not going to chip or peel off. And I am putting all the way from cuticle to free edge, making sure that I cap those edges. And yes, you guys, our moderators are telling you that we have over 3,000 videos here in our YouTube library for you. So if you have questions about pretty much any type of nail question that you've got, we probably have a video for you to help answer that question. Put pink hearts too. Yeah, you guys, we'll see. Let's get through our gel polish here, and then we'll see about pink hearts. But you guys, we do have another video. I think maybe it was last week that we did some hearts and some other Valentine's designs. So make sure to check out the rest of our channel here so that you can see all of those other fun designs. And we do try to go live here a couple of times a week. So like I said, make sure to subscribe so that you can come back and join us anytime that we do go live. Make sure to set those notifications so that you know when we're going to go live. And yes, somebody's very surprised at the 3,000. Yes, you guys, Young Nails we've been putting out educational videos for a long time. So I've been with the company for, I don't know, a long time, you guys. And if you can find the video of me when I was first starting out, tag me in it and I would be surprised. All right, you guys. But yes, this red that I'm using, this is called Combat Anime. This is a beautiful bright red. It is absolutely gorgeous for Valentine's Day. It is a beautiful, you guys, I know Christmas is way off, but yeah, it's a perfect holiday red. So just a beautiful, beautiful red. And you guys, our new gel polish line here is HEMA-free, TPO-free. So if you have any concerns about those things, there's a little bit of fuzz on that one. Let me clean that off there. So if you do have any concerns about TPO and those kind of things, this product is TPO and HEMA-free. So don't have to worry about that. If you are in other countries watching us, welcome. I'm glad that you're with us. But I know there's a lot of other countries that are concerned with the TPO and HEMA, and this is compliant for those regulations. So we're going to do one coat of our color here. We'll get this into the light, and I am going to cure this for a full 60 seconds. Now, you can probably see that our colors are very, very pigmented, so we want to make sure that we are fully curing this. I'm just going to use my Polish Perfector detail brush to touch up on that edge there a little bit, and maybe a little bit on this one here. But I am going to put this into the light for a full 60 seconds before we do, oops, I lost my other thumb there, before we do our second coat. So again, because they are so highly pigmented, you want to make sure that they are fully curing for each layer, so that way you don't have any issues with undercured gel or wrinkling of your gel polishes or anything like that. Hello to Ireland, hello to Sweden. You guys, wherever you are joining us from, I'm seeing you guys in the chat, so welcome. I'm so excited that you guys are able to be with us here wherever you're joining us from. So welcome in. Now, I want you guys to notice I didn't apply a coat of base coat. We do have a base coat for our gel polish system. If you're working on natural nails just like I've got on here, then you would start with a coat of the base coat before you do your color. But if you're working over the full cover tips, if you're working over an enhancement, acrylics, hard gels, or anything like that, then you don't need to use the base coat. You can just go right into your color and do your color, and it'll be just fine. It'll adhere really well because we used a coat of the protein bond. Okay, let's go ahead and do our second coat of color. But you guys, you can see that even with that first coat, it is pretty pigment. It's really pigmented. So it's going to give you really good coverage in one. But I still always try to do really nice thin coats, and I do 2 coats to make sure, again, that everything is going to cure really well. So we'll do a second coat here. Again, from cuticle to free edge, brushing all the way through. And you guys, normally when I work, I actually do work from the pinky end to the pointer. This way I don't end up bumping into those nails as I polish them. So just one last quick little trick here that works for me. Like I said, I start at the pinky, work towards the pointer, and then we will cure. So again, you guys, second coat of our color, we are going to do a full 60-second cure on this as well. Now I may cheat it out a little bit here and just do a 30-second cure for you guys, just to get you guys the finished look here. But do make sure that when you are polishing on the gel polish that you are curing for a full 60 seconds, and then you can go on to the next coat. So if you're working on a client, you're going to have two hands that you're working on. So one hand is going to be in the light while you're polishing the other, and it's going to take you at least about a minute to polish that second hand. So you're just going to alternate, and you're going to rotate one hand in the light while you're working on the other. One hand in the light while you're working on the other, and just kind of rotating back and forth. So you're never actually going to be wasting time. You're never going to have downtime there, okay? Now, we are going to finish with our top coat. And you guys, this is a high shine top coat. It is also a tack-free top coat. Now, again, you guys, make sure that you are curing your color for 60 seconds. I'm just going to cheat this out, and because you guys, you don't need to sit here for an extra 30 seconds watching nails dry. But, so I am going to top coat this with our high shine top coat. We do have a gorgeous, you know what, I'll do a nail here in the matte finish top coat as well. So we do have a really nice matte finish top coat as well. Both of these top coats are tack free. So when you are fully cured, or when they have fully cured, they won't have any tacky finish that you need to cleanse off. They are going to be completely cured out and ready to go. So just brushing on a nice even coat of our tack free top coat. And then I'll go back to my high shine top coat, just so you guys can see some variety in our nails here today. A lot of times I do like to add in a nail that is a matte finish, just for a little extra effect, a little extra depth, and things like that. So lots of different options there for your top coats. Now with our top coat, these do again need to cure for a full 60 seconds. So this one I am going to keep in there for a full 60, so that way you can see the final look on that matte top coat. The matte top coat, it will start to look matte after maybe 20 to 30 seconds or so, but to get the full effect of the matte look, you do need to make sure that it is in there for a full 60 seconds. Again, make sure all of your products are fully curing for the proper amount of time. Our top coats are all 60 seconds in the light, okay? You guys, we forgot to do our top coat chant. Oh my gosh, I totally spaced that out, you guys. So Stephanie Allred, thank you for saying top coat. Make sure you guys go ahead and put into the chat, just type in top coat, top coat, top coat. That is our top coat chant. And also make sure, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button so that you can join our community. You can continue to get education like this. And one last thing, as our nail is curing out, make sure that you do apply your cuticle oil. Oh, you guys, I lost my other cuticle oil, but I'm going to grab my citrus sugar cuticle oil. Make sure that you do apply cuticle oil. You can definitely see my cuticles are dry this time of year, but after the application, after all of the cleansing and everything, you always want to make sure that you do rehydrate those nails. So we've got our beautiful full cover tips here. We've got our high shine finish, nothing to cleanse off. We have our matte finish, again, nothing to cleanse off the top of that. You can create whatever shapes, whatever lengths you want. And you guys, I hope that you enjoyed our lesson today. Again, if you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Join us again when we go live. Make sure to set your notifications so that you know when we are going live. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us today. I hope